Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Art Studio. Today I'm going to be talking about doing a little review on the Lumix 12-35 Micro Four Thirds zoom lens. One of my favorite lenses in my gear bag for a lot of what I do. I've got lots of photographs and inspirations pulled up as well to share, so stay tuned. If my voice seems a little off and like it's cracking a little bit, it probably is. I caught the flu on the tail end of it, feeling much better now, but it was quite a miserable week. Did not think I would even do a lens review this week, but here I am getting around to it, so it's a happy day. The Lumix 12-35 is a really great utility lens. It is one of my favorites in the lineup just because it does a lot of things really well. It has a great range. At 12-35, it's a full frame equivalent of 24-70. It is 2.8 all the way through, so it's a pretty fast lens, allowing you to do some good low light photography when you need to. Of course, not as fast as a prime, but at 2.8 with that range, it's a great utility lens. Let's take a little closer look. As you can see on the camera body, this is a really small lens as well. I don't have the hood on it because I was running some neutral density filters on it, which is a nice thing because there is the ability to do that. It is power optically stabilized. You can turn that on and off here as well, right on the lens. And if you're a Lumix shooter and you love 5-axis image stabilization, you also love dual image stabilization because their optically stabilized lenses work in conjunction with their 5-axis in-body stabilization, giving you dual IS, and it just allows you to hand hold at some dramatically slow shutter speeds with ease and grace. So, beautiful thing there. Let's dive over to B&H, look at the price point real quick. First, let me pull that up. So it's coming in at $897.99, so it's a $900 lens, quite reasonable for what it is. It is also splash, dust, and freeze proof, so it is a weather sealed lens. That's a beautiful thing. And as you can see, there's lots of great reviews on it, lots of 5-star reviews. You can go check out some of those if you want to get some opinions and some ideas of what others think about it. And let's dive over into the computer again, look at some inspirations and some photographs that I've pulled up in Lightroom. Let's see, boom, we're in. So I pulled up several different photographs. You know, this isn't going to be one of those specialized types of lenses that do one thing specifically well. This is like that go-to lens when you're on the move, great for weddings and portraits when you have to think fast and have a lot in front of you. You want to capture a lot of different things quickly for couples or for your client. I brought up this image as I was going through my stack of 12-35 images just because it made me think a little bit about situations that I walk into as a photographer a lot of times. And us as photographers, you know, when we're doing portrait sessions or weddings, we have to think fast, and a lot of times we walk into a situation that could be cluttered, a lot of things going on, people walking around, and we're always seem to be looking for those empty spaces where we can do those beauty shots. One thing I've learned, it's to embrace what's in front of us. We had walked all the way to the end of this pier to get to the end and realize there's picnic tables, people walking around. To the far left of the image, gas pumps, there were scooters parked. But you know what? What experience shows you and teaches you is to utilize what's present rather than trying to avoid it. So here we're just kind of working with the picnic table and using everything around us as just a secondary prop, telling the story within the scene. As you can see with the next shot, we're utilizing the mirrors on the scooters as props creatively as well. So don't try to avoid what's in front of you all the time. Try to embrace it and try to make the most of it because it makes for some creative photographs and a fun time for your client as well. This is a really great lens too. This is zoomed at about 24mm. That is great for portraits, great for environmental portraits in situations like this where your subject is the main focus most certainly, but you can also have staggered subjects and multiple subjects in your image. Here the boat in the background slightly out of focus. I love that at 2.8 it does bring, or I should say I'm at 3.2, it brings enough attention to our subject, nice fall off to the boat in the distance, that secondary subject to add some framing. Same thing that we're looking at here. I'm at 3.2 and it's just giving me a nice fall off, but still enough depth of field to draw the viewer's attention towards the couple, which is certainly key. Here I'm zoomed to about 14mm, and You know, when the sun is setting, I try to think about silhouettes a lot of times. The sun is the hottest spot in the photograph. Your eye always goes to the hottest spot in the photograph, so make sure to place it well. And here, we're placing it right between the couple as they gaze into one another's eyes in a really beautiful way to use the sun and to use this lens complementary. This is a photo shoot that we were doing for Charlie Fine Art Fashions, my fashion line designed for my paintings. This is one of my scarves. I love this lens, like I was saying earlier, for those 3/4 kind of portraits or chest up portraits as well, as you can see here, working really well. And we were in a dance studio, so we were showing off the leggings, skirts, scarves, dresses, and as you can see here, capturing full-length dance, motion, really great lens for doing just about anything we want to do. Here we're in New York City in the bride's apartment in her parents' house, and what a beautiful kind of waist up portrait here. This lens is great for that type of thing, but I love the versatility it gives me. It's a great detail lens, kind of honing in her flowers here, stepping way back, capturing the room detail here. This is all lit with a single strobe off to about a 45 from the bride, with a white translucent umbrella shooting right through it. And when I do that, it just gives this beautiful glamorous lighting on anything that is my subject, but also lights the room beautiful and evenly as well. So this is my photography studio in Connecticut, and the Connecticut space is really beautiful. We use paintings that I've created as backdrops and to add to the space and the environment. But I have to remind myself a lot of times to put this lens on. And as I went through all of these, I really said to myself, I'm going to use this more in my own studio, because I tend to go towards longer lenses. I tend to lean towards the 35 to 100, 2.8, or the Leica 42.5, 1.2. But when I saw all of these images come through, I said, you know, this shows my space off better and still brings attention to the subject. So reminding myself to utilize this lens, as you can see here, same thing creatively in the studio because of that reason. This is a great go-to lens for that moment that the bride and groom see each other for the first time for a couple of reasons. It zooms, so you're really working fast. You can do close, medium, wide, but just look at this beautiful sequence. She's coming up behind him, taps him on the shoulder. Beautiful look on her face as they're seeing each other, kind of checking each other out. She does a belly laugh, really beautiful moment, and then like kind of a nice little close-up here of the two of them as well. So just love this lens for those moments. In cathedral photographs as well, I turn to this lens pretty often. As you can see here, this is zoomed at about 30 millimeter. You can see the leading lines of all the lamps up above kind of leading us towards the altar. Really beautiful for tight shots. And at 12 millimeter, look at the same thing. We're getting those leading lines in the pews from the lights leading to the stained glass, subject prominent in the center. A really great photograph to do that about 3/4 of the way in the back of the ceremony. This is a great lens for doing staggered bridal party photographs also. As you can see here, we have all the girls in focus way down here and here, and all the way up top as well, everything in between, so it works really well for that. And I'm at f4.5 here, which is giving me more like a 5.6, somewhere between 5.6 and f8 kind of depth of field, because it is micro four thirds, which is allowing me to have that kind of depth, which is a beautiful thing, keeping everybody in focus. On full frame, I probably have the middle two girls in focus at that depth of field, losing a little bit on the edges, and so that's one thing that I think is an advantage of micro four thirds when we're doing group shots. Here, same thing, just kind of showing another bridal party image. This is at the Biltmore Millennium in the bar, really dark bar, beautiful space, very vintage Hollywood in Los Angeles. And this is a wedding that we were photographing for celebrity party planner David Hutera, his personal wedding. But look how beautiful this lens opens up and allows us to capture the bridal party so well. Great detail lens. I turn to this often for doing photographs of details or room views. And it is also a great go-to lens I use often for when the bride and groom are announced into the reception. As you can see here, really perfect lens for that type of thing as well. Another view of my studio here in Connecticut. You can see how we use my paintings creatively in the space. And this is also an interesting thing. We decorated our studio in a way that we used frosted glass doors, which lead to an office, but we'll put a strobe behind those doors sometimes, and we'll light up the scene that way. And this is that's becoming our main light. And so just a creative way to think about not just decorating with traditional things, but think about utilizing doors or windows that are frosted and utilize light sources in them. It really, really works out well. Same thing you can see here, same light source, except we added another umbrella up here, kind of filling in a little bit, but just kind of shows the studio really well. Charlie Fine Art Fashions, again, we're in Sedona this time, and just kind of capturing different moments and scenes, showing off the leggings there. And you can see kind of the lifestyle of the brand that we're trying to pull in. But again, this is great. This is a great lens to go to for portraits, close-ups, details, scenics. It is really the ultimate utility lens. Cakes, getting ready moments. This is a beautiful wedding in Newport, Rhode Island. The brides are getting ready here, kind of helping each other with their dresses. You can see them walking down the pier in Newport, and beautiful shots down on the docks. And as they dance at sunset together, they're really beautiful as well. Back to sequences. This is a wedding that we photographed on a cruise ship for 7 days. It's a celebrity wedding for Star Jones and Ricardo Lugo. Look at this beautiful sequence as they open up with feathers here as she sees him for the first time. So many beautiful expressions, and this lens is just a great go-to for those sequence shots at any time that we want to do it. This lens works well in an infrared converted camera also. This is actually a Lumix G7 that I converted to infrared, and as you can see, just really gives a lot of dynamic looks that are very great whether I'm doing close-ups, medium, full length, and just a few more here. When I walk into a wedding reception and the bride and groom are going into their first dance, this is a lot of times my first choice of lens for that coming in shot as you saw before, but also during their first dance, because I love to get great full lengths and kind of medium full lengths, or medium shots of the couple before I start getting creative about things. And so here you can see getting kind of that medium full length, but then stepping back and using the floral in the room to do creative framing. In their album, it adds a lot of creativity where there's several pages of a first dance, but each one you want to turn and see the next, and adding some mystery to it by using depth of field creatively. If you've checked out our lens reviews, you've seen several of these weddings before. It's a mixture of lenses from all different events. And this is one from Glen Allen Castle. We were doing some portraits of the owner in a vintage loft. It's on the 3rd floor with a bunch of vintage clothing. And you can see a great portrait lens to boot as well. We use it fashionably, we use it traditionally, and that's what a utility lens is all about, right? A utility lens should allow you to do anything that you want to do with it incredibly well. The 12 to 35 is in my bag at all times, and if I'm on the move, it is one of my go-to lenses. There's really 3 lenses that I suggest people start out with. A 12 to 35 2.8, a 35 to 100 2.8, and probably a 25 1.7 Lumix brand, or 1.4 if you go towards the Leica side. And that gives you something really fast prime you can shoot anything low light with, but this gives you the range at 2.8 to cover just about anything you could possibly want to. So it's kind of a wrap on the 12 to 35 2.8. It's a go-to lens in my camera bag and something that I highly suggest. So I appreciate you joining me here, everybody. Hope the inspirations shine a light on what this lens can do. Have a great one. Take care.